Forever I'll live, forever I'll try. Forever I'll run, forever I'll die. Forever this heart, forever my soul. Forever I'll be, forever unknown. Days and nights, skin and bone. Forever this town, forever my car. Forever this night, forever these stars. Forever I live, forever unknown. Forever in love, forever a ghost. Days and nights, skin and bone. I'm still here, but you moved on. Forever falls in love with the guy that wears sweater vests. She used to be mine, but now it's like we never met. Forever leaves fast in the middle of the night. Forever breaks my heart and never says goodbye. Days and nights, skin and bone. I'm still here, but you moved on. I live inside an old photograph. I wish that I could feel your love again. So I live inside that old photograph. And I wish that I could feel your love again. Forever falls in love with the guy that wears sweater vests. She used to be mine, but now it's like we never met. Forever leaves fast in the middle of the night. Forever breaks my heart and never says goodbye.
Hello, 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 and welcome from a very, very windswept East Ayrshire. We didn't get the storm full on here. Storm Agnes, I think it might be. No, wasn't it? It was one that started with a B this time. Beatrix or something. I can't remember. But it didn't hit us down here in the south of Scotland. We got a lot of wind, a wee bit of rain. During the week it was fairly bad, so that's why I didn't get out and get a video created this week. I went to do one today, but I ran out of time and I had the wrong equipment with me, so I didn't manage to get a video made this week. However, I'll tell you what I did do this week. And I'd like to say hello in the chat to Pauline and Graham, and I know you're sitting here waiting for the blether, and here it is. The blether is upon you, okay? So let me have a wee look at things before we get started and check that you can hear me and see me. Hear me and see me, because I'm not convinced that my monitors and my meters and my notifications are actually correct, because it's telling me things aren't working. But you people in the chat, you fine people who I trust more than the YouTube notifications, are telling me that it is working. So in that case, I'm going to believe you and assume it is working. Okay, So before we get started and before I have a wee look at the chat, I am going to have a tiny wee swally tonight, and because it's a special swally, right? This is a special bottle that was gifted to me just yesterday, right? This is a Robert Burns single malt distilled in Arran, the island of Arran, which I may show you a picture of later on. And it's a fantastic. I've already had a wee snifter of it, and it's absolutely fantastic. It's a 43% whiskey, right? A Robert Burns single malt. Lay the proud usurpers low, says Robert. I agree with you. So I'm going to have just a tiny, tiny wee one of these because I don't want to get off my face tonight. So we'll just have a little one. Right, and I will like to say Slàinte to Pauline and Graham. Oh, golden nectar. You're probably thinking, who are Pauline and Graham? Well, I'll tell you in due course. I'll come to that because I have some pictures and I have tiny wee clips of video that I'd like to show you. Okay. So before we get to the Blether, the full-on Blether, I'm going to scroll back a long, long way and have a look at some of the chat because, as usual, a lot of you like to get into the chat before the live stream has even started, and you like to chat amongst yourselves and throw wee comments back and forth, and I quite like that idea too. And I will say, as we start, before someone else says it, and quite a lot of people probably will, I currently have 39 current viewers according to these statistics here, and 15 likes. Okay, so that's less than half of you are actually here to enjoy what you're watching, which is astounding to me that more than half of you are here probably to have a wee bitch and a wee moan about the things that I say for the next hour. If you want to give me a thumbs up, give me a thumbs up. If you don't, then don't. That's fine with me. Right, and I haven't even tested to see if the pop-ups will pop up. So let me test it out and see. Oh, they do. There you go. So the very first comment, about half an hour or so before we started, was Jay saying it's an interesting topic as some apps give you a fly restriction zone based on a sub 250 gram drone. And a sub 250 gram drone is currently different. I don't understand quite what that means. However, as the topic title on the thumbnail said tonight, something in regards to fly restricted zones, can you fly in them? And I will be touching upon that because this weekend I did the naughty thing and I flew in a fly restriction zone, right? So I'll talk about that, I'll talk about why I did it and how I did it, all right? Before I get to that, right, we'll have a look at some of these. There's John. Hi, dudes. Hi, John. How you doing? I've got this thing popping up again every time. I don't know why it's doing it this week. The same as last week, but it is, right. So Simply Scotland Photography was talking about my helmet that I'm wearing in the thumbnail, and that's actually one of my motorbike helmets. I don't ride anymore. I've sold all my motorbikes, but that was one of my helmets, and I quite liked it because it looked like a pilot's helmet as well. Right, okay. I'm probably going to have a bit of trouble with the chat tonight as I'm getting this little pop-up that's blocking me from scrolling through, but I'll do my best to get through it. And I'll say hello to as many people as I can. We have Angel Station had just done the online test to get a trust certificate. Your certificate of completion, the recreational UAS safety test, seemed too easy. That's what I've heard. I've heard that it is quite an easy test, but however, it should sort the wheat from the chaff, is it? People that can't be bothered doing it or don't want to take the time, it might prevent them from actually going out and flying. I don't know. Gerard McGlinchey says, hello, Robert. I know he doesn't. He says, good evening, Robert. So good evening to you, Gerard McGlinchey. How you doing? Right, let me see if I can just... Oh, there's Angel saying another thing. I'm having a bit of trouble with the chat tonight, but don't worry about it. We'll get through it. Stevie says, good evening, Robert and everyone. Very nice greeting there, Stevie. Hello to you. And Cyril... Hello, Cyril. How are you doing? And if I miss anyone, by the way, here, please excuse me. Dave, how are you doing? It's just that I'm having a bit of trouble with chatting. I'm scrolling through what I can and I'm doing my best, right? Andy Binnington put up an at Windswept Robert, so it's come up to me in orange, so that's quite good. And he says, "Evening all for a calm East Asia." It's very calm today. Actually, the weather turned beautiful yesterday here in the south of Scotland, and today it was the same. It was just as good. So that's why I went out to fly and create a video today, but didn't manage to do it. I ran out of time and I had the wrong stuff with me anyway. Caroline Tyler, RC, was that Babbitt? Babbitt, don't know what that means. Johnny Mac, hey troops, hey to you. Peter Mannering tells everyone don't forget to hit the like. That would be awful nice if you hit that like button, right? If you want to. If you don't. But don't listen to me, just hit it. Richard Buchan, hello, how you doing? And there is Pauline Hunterston, Madam Pauline Hunterston. Hello, Robert. Hello, Pauline. How you doing? I'll get to a little bit of the story involving yourself and your good Graham very, very soon. Don't worry, it's all good. There's nothing going to be showing that shouldn't be showing, so don't worry about that. Right, I think we're about. Oh, I saw Richard Radon. That's a name I haven't recognised before. Let me come up with Richard. And hello, Robert the drone. I'm not the drone. Lassie is the drone. I'm Robert the pilot. Could you call me a pilot? I don't really know. Right, we have Mark Sullivan. Evening, morning, afternoon to everywhere in this big ball of mud hurtling through space. Sounds like something from The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy there, doesn't it? Right, who else have we got here? Jay, I said hello to you at the very beginning. Radio Tech, Breaker a copy, 19. All right. So there we go. I think that's everyone, is it? And if Michael Reid. Hi, Robert. Hi, Michael. Oh, there you are. I keep looking at your name there. There you are there. Angel Station did say hello to you. Kim Fife. Hi, Windswept Robert. Hi, Kim. Okay. Right, I think that's everyone in the chat that I've said hello to. And if I missed anyone, I do apologise. My old eyes are not too good these days. The screen's a bit small, and I've only had a wee sip and another wee sip, slange of that, and that's my excuse. Okay, so let me get started then with only 9 minutes of the hellos there, which is a record. That normally takes me about 20 minutes, so that's 9 minutes. I don't know what you mean there, Peter. Robert, will there be a summer/winter time change next Sunday? What did the clocks go back? Did the clocks go back? I don't know. If the clocks go back, I'll be on at 7 o'clock. The new 7 o'clock. If I'm on, I don't know. I mean, I never know from 1 week to the next if I actually am going to be on. But I think that's what you mean. If it's a summer-winter change, I don't know what the time will be for people who are not in the UK. I don't know if your clocks change at the same time as us. I have no idea how that works. But it'll be 7 o'clock GMT. We'll move from BST, British Summer Time, to GMT, Greenwich Mean Time, I believe. So maybe an hour later they go back. The live maybe an hour later next week, but it'll still be 7 o'clock in the UK time. Okay. Right, so let me tell you about why I didn't manage to get... No, you probably haven't even noticed, probably don't even care. I didn't manage to get a... there's Peter Manning saying 1800 UTC, right? It's still going to be 1900 GMT. So adjust your clocks or timings or whatever it is to suit. I have no idea how it would work, how it works. Right, so what was I starting to say there? Yeah, I can't remember. Did I say something about I was going to tell you why I didn't manage to make a video this week? I've already explained it, I think. The weather, although the weather we didn't have the storm down here the way they had it up in Angus. Very severe storm, and it has taken lives. We didn't have that down here. However, we did catch the outer, I suppose, the outer elements of that storm during the week. Excuse me. Which meant that I could have gone out to fly but it was just a wee bit, the wind was a bit too powerful, and I thought, no, I'm not going to risk it. I know I take risks when other people don't, but I thought there's no need for that. There's no need to go out just because it's windy. So I didn't. I didn't go out. I thought to myself, I'll get out at the weekend. The weather may change at the weekend, and I'll get out at the weekend and be able to do something. But I didn't manage that because my weekend was tied up, and I'm going to show you where it was tied up, okay? Because I was invited along to a fantastic place, and that is, and I'll show you on the map right now, I was invited along to Hunterston Castle, and I'll click over to my screen, and hopefully you can see it there. Here is Hunterston Castle. So I was invited to Hunterston Castle for a tour by Madam Pauline Hunterston herself, the clan chief, the chief of the Hunter clan, invited me and my wife, the Ian, and I went down and were given a tour by the chief around Hunterston Castle, and I interviewed the clan chief, asking her questions about about Hunterston Castle. Hey, whoa, pressed the wrong button again. About Hunterston Castle, about the grounds, about the clan. Quite a lot of really interesting questions that I have a few things to say that will probably really impress some of you. And I'll leave it for a minute because I have pictures to go with it. But what I wanted to say first of all is on the map there of Hunterston Castle, I'm going to zoom out a little bit. So let me go back to the screen. So this is Hunterston Castle here. This is the what would you call that? I can't really. The battlements, I suppose, where the crossbowmen would stand and defend. This is the main tower here, and the Great Hall is in here too. But if I zoom out the map, right, watch this appearing on the left side of the screen. That there is Hunterston Nuclear Power Station. Okay, now you can see how close it is to the castle. Okay, it's, what does the scale say? 50 metres is that, so you're talking, what, there's 50, 100, you're talking about 250, maybe 300 metres from Hunterston Castle itself. We have the first edge of the nuclear power station. Now, there is a fly restriction zone over, I've done it again, I pressed the wrong button again. There's a fly restriction zone over all nuclear power stations, of course. And I have what the restriction is here, and I'll bring it up on the screen. And the zone of restriction around a nuclear power station is 1 nautical mile, right? I think that's shorter than a normal mile, but a nautical mile radius around it, and extending from the ground level to 2,000 feet above the ground, or the highest object on it. So you're probably talking about 2,500 feet is as low as you can come. So that is a restriction zone in all nuclear power stations, and that includes Hunterston Power Station. So that means that Hunterston Castle has a no-fly zone, has a fly restriction zone. Okay. So, I thought I was still on the screen. Right, so that means that Hunterston Castle, because it's here in the nuclear power station is right here, it has a fly restriction zone all around it. You know, there's just, for 1 nautical mile around here, which is probably way, way off the edge of the screen, you cannot fly around Hunterston Castle. Okay? So, bearing that in mind, I'm going to show you a little clip now, right? It's just about a 30-second clip, if I can find it. Let me bring it all up. I don't want to show you those yet. I'll show you this now. There's no sound here because it's from a drone. Okay? And I'm going to show you this sort of 30-second clip. And what I'd like you to do is not fret and worry and wonder, how was this achieved, given what I've just told you about fly restriction zones. But what I want you to think on is, what drone is this footage taken from? Is it a Mini 2, a Mini 2 SE, a Mini 3 Pro, Mini 3, a Mini 4 Pro, a Mavic 3, an Air 3, an Air 2, an Air 2S. Which zone, or is it one of the not the DJIs? So I'm going to show you the 30 seconds of footage now, and that's what I want you to think about rather than, that's a restriction zone he's flying in. Okay, so here's the clip. And I'll keep my mic on because there is no audio, obviously. So here, let's play this. Now, this is completely unedited footage. I haven't edited it just yet, and I will be spending probably a couple of weeks editing all of the footage that I took yesterday and today down at Hunterston Castle. But this is just a wee, I'll give you a wee fly around, just about 30 seconds or so. And this is the magnificent Hunterston Castle. And the Hunterston flag is flying there because the clan chief is in residence. And that is why you can see the yellow flag at the top of the mast there is flying. And that was raised yesterday morning by the clan chief herself. Isn't that just a magnificent structure? And of course, it'll look much better once I've edited all the footage together. Right, so have a wee think. What drone was this that I was flying yesterday to capture this footage of the magnificent Hunterston Castle? Caroline says it's a 360 camera on a very long stick. I did have my Insta 360 camera with me, Caroline, but I would have had to have really long arms to get it up there. Okay, so that was that, and then I thought, oh, how am I going to end this wee bit? And I thought, you know what, I'll do a, what do you call these? Is it a selfie? What do you pull? But I didn't do any of those automatic shots because it wasn't my drone I was flying; it was someone else's. But I just did a wee pull back there. And look at that. And of course, the one thing that I was very, very careful not to do, I think that's it's finished. Yeah, that's it, finished there. So let me flick back to my Scottish face. And what I was very careful of doing is not to capture any part of Hunterston Power Station in the footage. And I think I may have inadvertently captured a tiny corner of it for a split second. I'm not sure. I haven't looked back at the footage yet. So obviously I'll be cropping that out when I come to edit the video, so you won't see it. So first of all, the question I asked, what drone was that? And if you have a few different drones, I'll give you a clue, it was a DJI drone. You may recognise the style of footage and the colouring. I haven't changed any colours, I haven't done any resolution changes or exposure changes on there. That's exactly as the footage came direct from the card that's in the computer right now. Okay, has anyone got a guess? So Peter Mulder, I think you were the first one to have a guess there, Peter. And you have guessed Mini 3. Caroline guesses it's a 360 camera on a very long stick. Cyril says Mini 3. PD Tech says it's not drone footage. All AI footage taken from photos like photogrammetry. Photogrammetry, right, okay. Stevie Elder says a kite and a GoPro. I think you've actually tried that before, Stevie, haven't you? And it was fairly successful as far as I know. Johnny Mac says a very talented seagull. Fair enough, Johnny Mac. Caroline says a really long stick. It would have to be. PD Tech copying Stevie was a GoPro and a kite, right? Jay is asking, have you taken this on a drone with a big zoom? To be a nautical mile away, it would have to be some zoom. I mean, the Mavic 3 Pro has a 7 times zoom. Is that a 20 times zoom? 20 times zoom, it might be. Jay Richard says Air 3. I Mark Droney, that's it, that's right, a Droney. But I didn't do a Droney, I actually did that. I was piloting that back and up, and it didn't automatically take, right? PD Tech, drones are spent for a kite, right? Okay, you're on about kite. There's Michael Reed saying Pro 2, that'll be a Mavic Pro 2, I suppose. And I think that's your guesses, right? Okay, well done. Green Silver says Mini 4. Gerard McGlinchey says Mini 3. Mark, an osprey with a GoPro. Right? No ospreys were harmed in the making of any video I've ever made. Homing pigeon with a GoPro. Right, okay. It's getting ridiculous now. Right. That was a DJI Mini 2. Simple as that. Okay. And one of the points of me asking that question and to see your comments was there was only, I think, one person said Mini 2, and everyone else assumed it was a Mini 3 or a Mini 4 or something even bigger and better. And this just goes to show you that a Mini 2 is all you really need to get some really nice footage, you know? If a Mini 2 can do that, do you really need to go and spend another £1,000, £2,000, £3,000, who knows how much, on a huge big drone when the Mini 2 can actually capture some fantastic footage like that, right? And that's all I'm saying. I'm not trying to put any of the other drones down because the other drones are obviously fantastic too, but the Mini 2 is not dead. It hasn't had its day. She's sitting on the shelf right beside Caledonia behind me, and she will be flying in 2024 as much as Caledonia flies in 2024 because she's a fantastic wee drone, right? Simply Scotland folks says, I knew it at the end. You knew it after I told you. Is that what you're saying? Aye, you knew it after I told you. There you go. Mark says the Mini 2 rocks. Absolutely does, Mark. Fantastic footage there from the Mini 2. And if you noticed at the start of the clip that I showed you there, I'll get back to that little, the start of it, and I'll show you, where was it here? It was about, let me line off here. It was about here. Let me show you this part back again. Just this few seconds, as I was doing a parallax. There, the trees just come into the side, and I stopped. Now, I had already taken a note of the highest tree in the area, and the drone, the Mini 2, was actually above that, but it looks lower because the gimbal is tilted down, so it does look as if it's close to the trees. It's not, but even at that, when you're looking from the ground up at the drone, your perspective is skewed and you can't really tell. And although everything I had carried out in advance for the safety of the drone not to hit the trees, I knew it was correct, it still looked to me like, I'm going to move the drone in there because I'm still not convinced, even though everything in science tells me I'm not going to hit there. But my point in mentioning that was that I then decided to move forward out of the way of that tree and continue on the parallax. Even if you were flying with a Mini 3, it doesn't have sideways sensors, and my second arm is never in. My sideways sensors. So you would have to carry out a similar manoeuvre, and if you were going to crash by flying sideways with a Mini 2, you would do the same with the Mini 3. And dare I say it, also with a Mini 4 Pro, although it's supposed to have 360 around obstacle avoidance, we have seen on video after video after video where it fails. So, you know, it's the footage hasn't been compromised because it's a Mini 2 and doesn't have all-around sensors. Okay, the footage is fantastic. All right, so enough said about that. I just wanted to show you the outside of Hunterston Castle, and that's where I was on Saturday and Sunday today, carrying out an interview with a clan chief and getting a little bit of drone footage. Her partner Graham, it was his drone, and permission was sought and given for this flight. And I'm not going to explain exactly how it was done here, because in the interview that I have with the clan chief, I put that question to her and I ask her words to the effect of, so yesterday we carried out a drone flight over and around Hunterston Castle, and we are smack in the middle of an absolute flight restriction zone because of the nuclear power station 250 yards next door. How did you achieve the permissions? And Madam Pauline goes through how she achieved all of the permissions for us to do that. That I will be creating a video from that interview and some more stuff round about Hunterston Castle, and it will be published in the next week or two. where she explains exactly how it was done. What I will say is that it takes a little bit more than your average Joe with a drone just going into no-fly zone and trying to click on an authorisation that we get at some other flight restriction zones. Like if you're going near Rugby Park, Kilmarnock Football Club's stadium, for example, and you have a fly restriction, there is a fly restriction zone there. You can click for authorisation, put in your phone number, and you will get a text through giving you an authorisation clearance to fly. You won't get anything as simple as that at a nuclear power station. So there is a bit more to it, and you'll see in the video that comes out of the interview where Madam Pauline tells us exactly how that was achieved. But what I will do tonight is I want to show you some other wee clips from Hunterston Castle, because if any of you live in Scotland or any of you are thinking about visiting Scotland, or have visited Scotland, Hunterston Castle actually has tours within the Great Hall and the Tower where you can actually tour it, and there's a fantastic artefact in there which I'm going to show you right now. So have a look at this and I'll tell you what this is. I think there might be a bit of sound, but I think it was just me waffling and maybe breathing like Darth Vader. But let me show you this and I'll see if there's any sound. There might be, there might not be. I don't think there is. No, there's no sound there. Right, and what I'll do now is I'll switch to the next one, which is a close-up. It's not that one. It should be a close-up of this thing here, right? And is that a wee video as well? It is. Let me show you this wee video here. Now, I bet you're all wondering to yourself, what is that thing? It looks like a hunk of wood to me. What is that, right? I'm going to tell you what that is. That there on the screen that you're seeing right now is part of an oak tree. And that is the oak tree that Sir William Wallace was chained to when he was captured near Dumbarton and then taken down to England, where you hung, drew and quartered them. How very dare you? And that there is the oak, the actual oak tree that Sir William was chained to, awaiting his final execution. And that is housed in Hunterston Castle. And if you go to Hunterston Castle, the part of the tour will take you into the room where it is being housed, and there's a barrier around it. You probably shouldn't touch it, and if too many people touch it, it'll end up like that Bobby, what's his name, that guy in Edinburgh, the wee Doug, that his nose is all golden now. So you might not be able to touch it unless you go very, very early and you're one of the first few, you might. But that is a fantastic relic, Scottish relic, that's held in Hunterston Castle, the only place in Scotland, right? And that to me is more, it hits my heart even more than the Wallace Tower in Stirling, because Sir William was actually attached to that oak tree and chained, should I say, chained to that oak tree right there. So that's in Hunterston Castle, okay? And this is part, I'm going to show you a tiny, tiny wee snippet of the interview. This is unedited, and obviously this is not the audio that I'll be using on the final interview. The audio has still to be mashed together. Why do I always keep mashed together with the video? I say mashed together, it's to be placed gracefully together with the video to make the full thing. And also I think I maybe need to bring the exposure down just a little bit, because although it was nice and fairly dark, I asked for it to be fairly dark in the Great Hall. This is the Great Hall where the interview is being recorded. The camera I was using just has a massive sensor. You need no light, and it just enhances all the light. So I'll probably bring that down a little bit too. But let me show you just a tiny little part of the interview with the clan chief of the clan Hunter. Just about 30 seconds or so. and hopefully the audio will work. I'll soon be able to tell if it does or not. Fantastic, you've got all the... And I see just behind me we have some replicas of some weapons here. Are these some of the weapons that may have been used at the Battle of Flodden?
Quite likely, yes. The
fairly gruesome looking.
Very
Actually,
gruesome.
I'm just going to grab one of these gruesome weapons here. And
that's a mace.
This is a mace, and I'm not going to be swinging this too hard, but that's a fairly gruesome looking weapon.
And the reason,
feels nice.
the reason for the little studs is so that your hands didn't slip on anybody else's blood.
Not that there would be any blood,
No.
because we're a peaceful nation as Scots, and you know,
yes.
well, we didn't used to be, but we
No.
are now. Aye.
But
so
people would have adapted originally agricultural implements and then designed things to knock people down. It was all about protecting the people that lived here, not just the family, but all the people that worked here, the blacksmiths, the farriers, you know, the people that were farming here and bringing in the food.
aye.
Yeah, it was important to stay safe.
And I suppose the main part of the fighters would come from the people farming the land,
Yes.
and the people who worked the land and lived here.
Yeah. There was no standing army originally, so according to your station, so the hunters would have had to supply, arm, feed and train a certain number, so that when the king said to them, right, we're going to fight a battle, he wouldn't have known how many people he could call upon, and you would have had to bring your guys already trained.
Oh, right, there you go. So I'll leave it there because obviously I don't want to play too much of the interview, and it's completely unedited at the moment. But that was the interview with Madam Pauline Hunter of the Clan Hunter, the chief of the clan there, and that is in the Great Hall in Hunterston Castle. And I have more clips of other parts of Hunterston Castle, the grounds outside, the beautiful walled garden, and some more of the other rooms within Hunterston Castle itself. When I do produce the video with the interview, there will be links in there to the Clan Hunters website and their own YouTube channel, where you can see much more, and you can book yourself and your family a visit if you want. So that's what I was doing this weekend, and I took the wee in with me. Madam Pauline graciously invited myself and the wee in, and so I have a wee picture here, I think, kicking about somewhere. Oh, here's another one of the rooms. It's just off. I think it may be actually downstairs from the Great Hall. I can't remember. It's another one of the rooms in the castle itself. It's just off of the Great Hall. That's the Great Hall that you can see just ahead there at in front of the tail. In fact, I think I walked through it. And I'm just going to show you 1 second. I don't want to play too much of it. I want to keep some things back. There is a beautiful a piece of jewellery here, and there's a fantastic story about that piece of jewellery that Madam Pauline relates to us in the interview. That piece right there, and I'm just going to stop it because I don't want to. I'll take it back and show you a wee still shot of it. Right, I don't want to spoil the interview too much by giving away too much, but there's a fantastic story. That's a brooch, and I'm not going to say any more than that, but it's held in the Hunterston Castle as well, and it's a fantastic story which you'll hear about in the interview too. But the wee in was invited as well, so Graham, who is Madam Pauline's partner, took a few pictures. So let me see if I can find a couple of pictures of me. Actually, here's the setup. Graham took this when we had set up. It's just a picture, not a video. So that's a picture of the setup, the cameras and the microphones and things when we were about to do the interview, and that's in the Great Hall there. So I'll just see if there's a couple of pictures of me and the wee. Oh, there's one after they had presented me with my beautiful bottle of single malt Robert Burns, fantastic Burns, can't beat it. So here's a wee picture of me and the wee in. That's us there, just outside Hunterston Castle, and I'm clutching that bottle more than I'm clutching my own wife. And that's us up. Actually, they took us up to the battlements and showed us where the crossbow, they're not called archers, the crossbow men would park themselves and fend off the invading Vikings, because Vikings did try to invade the grounds in the area. So it was quite exciting and very cold, as you can see. The wee one's always cold, but there she's got her hood up and her big jacket on. It was absolutely Baltic up there on those battlements. And there is Madame Pauline herself, just at the ancient monument, Hunterston Castle, all right? So that's what I was doing at the weekend, and I think that's about it as far as the photos and wee clips of video that I wanted to show you. I think that's about it. Let me check through. I think I've got everything. Aye. That's it, right, okay. So that's... Because I was so busy yesterday at Hunterston Castle and today at Hunterston Castle as well, I didn't even have time to manage to put an agenda forward for the chat tonight. So I just thought I would show you some of the wee videos and some of the photos from yesterday. And talk about that. So I'll have a wee look through some more of your comments now, and before I do that, I'll have another wee sniff of this fantastic Robert Burns single malt. I can absolutely recommend it. That's it there. If you're thinking, I fancy myself a good malt, that is one not to be missed. Okay, absolutely beautiful, and it's got a real heat once you swallow it. A real heat coming from here and all the way up. Beautiful. Right. Okay, so where are we now? Some people are still guessing something different. Still guessing a Pro 4, but I've never used one. Aye, the footage is I would imagine. Don't have a Mini 4 Pro. Never will have a Mini 4 Pro. But I would imagine that the footage from the Mini 4 Pro isn't any better than the footage from the Mini 2. I have said this on numerous occasions, I prefer the footage from the Mini 2 to the Mini 3 Pro. I just think it looks more natural. It's not as green and I forget what the word is when it's too much colour. Somebody will be able to tell me the word that I mean, but the Mini 3 Pro has too much colour. Saturated, it's oversaturated, I believe, with green in particular, whereas the Mini 2 reflects actually what you're seeing. It's a fantastic camera, and I prefer the Mini 2 camera to the Mini 3 camera. I don't know what the Mini 4 Pro camera is because I don't have one, but from what I've seen, it seems a wee bit oversaturated for my taste as well. Right, what we got here? Angel Station, what are you saying? You are saying, I fly my Mini 2 as much as I fly the Mini 3 Pro. I still love the footage from it. It often looks better than Mini 3. Now, there you go. I said all of what I just said, and I hadn't even read your comment there, but thanks very much for emphasising what I said, because I firmly believe it to be true. I don't know anything about the Air 2 or the Air 2S footage. And it's hard to tell when you're watching someone who has posted their footage on YouTube, because you don't know how much post-production work they have carried out on that piece of footage to alter it from what it was. But the footage that you just saw of the wee fly around of Hunterston Castle there is completely raw. There are no corrections. I just took the card out of the drone. It was my own card that I took down. And Graham let me put that into his drone, and I just stuck it straight in the computer and played that clip from there. So it's straight out of the drone with no corrections. Now, if you tried to do that with the Mini 3 Pro, it's like, whoa, are we in Toy Town here? Every time I put a bit of Mini 3 footage into my editor, I have to bring the saturation down, and particularly the greens. Otherwise, it just looks weird. It looks like it's some kind of cartoon almost. I'm over-exaggerating a little bit, but you know what I mean. Right, I can't get rid of that comment from Angel Station, so I'll click on another one. Mark Sullivan makes a fantastic point. Obstacle avoidance doesn't replace common sense. It's great, and here's a thing as well that I have been thinking about, is that because the Mini 4 Pro comes with all around 360 obstacle avoidance, which doesn't work as it should. We know that now. But I think that may lull some new flyers into a false sense of security, and therefore they will not take the necessary precautions and maybe won't learn to fly with the risks in mind that they would do if they were flying a drone that didn't have obstacle avoidance, like the Mini 2, for example. And I think learning to fly for the first time on a drone that doesn't have obstacle avoidance sets you on a much better path. And I think it will make you a better pilot, because you never, ever really become reliant on the obstacle avoidance of the drones that are every drone, I think, from now on, certainly in the DJI line, will come with 360 obstacle avoidance. They're not going to step back. And I think any flyers who buy a DJI drone from the Mini 4 Pro onwards will be under a slight handicap that they have never learned to fly without obstacle avoidance. And I would suggest to anyone who is in that category, who has bought a Mini 4 Pro, and it's the first drone they have ever bought, here's a bit of advice. Why, for the first 3 months or so, fly it every single time, every flight, with the obstacle avoidance turned off. Don't use the obstacle avoidance at all for the first 3 months of your flying. And if you only fly once in 3 months, that's no good. But let's say for your first 20 flights, or maybe even more. And then if you want to turn on obstacle avoidance because you're going into an area where it may be useful, that's fair enough. But you will already have learned, you'll have taught yourself, and you'll have a greater understanding of where the drone can go and where the drone can't go, and how to assess in advance any dangers of crashing into an obstacle. That's my advice. Whether you take it or not, it's up to you, obviously. But I would suggest that that's maybe not a bad way of starting out if you've never actually flown a drone without obstacle avoidance, right? And I hope a lot of you concur with that. All right. BD Tech says obstacle avoidance doesn't replace just being aware of your surroundings. Yeah. It has its place and it can be handy, but the only time that I've found that I have ever used the obstacle avoidance with Caledonia, my DJI Mini 3 Pro, this one right here, I'm getting good at that now. Here's Lassie, the Mini 2. Here's Caledonia, the Mini 3 Pro. The only time I've ever used the obstacle avoidance is when I've been doing a test of the obstacle avoidance. Other than that, I don't use it. And in fact, if you're trying to fly through a smaller space, having the obstacle avoidance on, you're not going to be able to do that. You'll need to turn the obstacle avoidance off to fly through a smallish space anyway. Right, I think I can click that up for here. I'm not sure if I can or not. Right, Jay, thanks very much for the super chat. And Jay asks, how are the spooky stories coming on? I am ready to edit them to include them on the 7 p.m. show on the 31st of October. That's Halloween for anyone who doesn't know. Let's get you on the air at pamtorbay.com. Everyone welcome to listen in. Okay, I didn't think, I hadn't planned to publish the video as early as 7 p.m. on Halloween, Jay, but I probably will. In fact, now I will. If you're going to be, in fact, no, I'll have to jig that about a bit. I may publish at 6 o'clock. If you're going to be putting it on your show at 7 o'clock, because what I don't want is I don't want to publish the video and no one watches it because they're all listening to your radio show and watching it on your radio show or listening in your radio show. I'd rather they watch the video or listen to the video or listen to the podcast. But yeah, it's coming along. There isn't a spooky story on the 31st. It is a recitation of Tam O'Shanter by Scotland's bard Robert Burns. I will be reciting the full Tam O'Shanter, which should take in the region of 20 to 30 minutes, depending on what pace I read it at. Now, the way I have planned to do it, and if everything goes to plan, let me see if I can take your super chat down, Jay. Thanks very much for that once again. The way I had planned to do it is that Robert Burns wrote his sonnets and poetry in the Scots language. And most of you, I imagine, won't understand much of it because you're not native Scots speakers. So there will be an English translation, which I'm interested in looking at as well, because the story of Tam O'Shanter is fascinating. A lot of people think it's a tale of a fellow who was chased by witches that he spied dancing when he shouldn't have been spying on them, and he gave himself away because he shouted a phrase which I'll save for the podcast. I think someone else has come in. Oh, that's Jay's super chat. Thanks for that, Jay. It just popped up again there. And Tam shouted when he was very excited to see the half-naked witches dancing in Old Alloway Kirk, or Alloway Old Kirk. And they immediately stopped dancing and started to chase him. And most people think that is the actual story, but it's not quite. That's not quite what happened. And I don't want to give too much away, but let me just say, if any of you in your, let's say, maybe younger days, not too young, but in your days when you maybe have been a bit of a lad and you had a wife at home who was expecting you home at a certain hour and you didn't appear at that hour, you didn't appear for maybe 5 or 6 hours after that hour, because instead of coming straight home from market, you decided to go for a few pints with the lads and chat up a few of the barmaids while you were there. And of course, now you have to concoct some tale to calm your wife down about why you're 5 hours late. Okay, so that's all I'll say about Tam O'Shanter. The tale is a fantastic tale of this fellow being chased by witches, but was he actually chased by witches or was it something else? You'll find out with the English translation if you don't understand the full Scots. And that's all I'll say about that. Stevie Elder just says, that Wallace Oak. I know. Stevie, let me tell you, when I had no idea that the Wallace Oak was even a thing that existed. I had no idea at all until Madam Pauline started talking about it yesterday when we were having lunch. They took Graham and Madam Pauline took myself and the wee in for lunch yesterday, and we were having a chat over it, and she was telling us about the Wallace Oak. And I was like, the Wallace Oak, what is this? And when she told us, this is the oak tree that Sir William was chained to before he was dragged down to England, hung, drawn and quartered. Yeah, horrible, nasty English people, yeah. And I thought, that's fascinating. I mean, why don't we all know about this thing? Surely this should be, one of the it should by now be one of the most famous Scottish relics and held upon high. And it is now. It is in Hunterston Castle in its place, being held upon high. But why have I never heard of it before? And she does relate more about the Wallace Oak in the interview. But what I have to say is that when we went in to see the Wallace Oak and they have it set up beautifully, as you saw in the video. They have it set up beautifully and lit in there. My heart was pounding and I could feel things welling up just thinking about Sir William being chained to that tree, waiting his imminent death with no possibility of escape or rescue. And how must he have felt? Probably felt that if I get free, I'm taking the 14 of you out. And you better hope that this chain is secure. That's probably what he was thinking at the time. But it did make me, it was much more emotional. It was a much more emotional experience seeing and standing beside the Wallace Oak than going to the Wallace Monument in Stirling. And that's where everyone goes, that's where all the tourists go. But I'm going to start some kind of campaign, right, to say, tourists, forget the Wallace Monument in Stirling, right? It's just a building made with bricks. you need to go to Hunterston Castle and see the actual oak tree that Sir William Wallace was chained to before he was taken away and executed. That's where you need to go. So I might not start a campaign because I've got no idea how to do that. But that's just the strength of the emotions that I felt when standing there in the room right in front of that Wallace Oak. Much, much more powerful than climbing up the stairs of a monument erected to the memory of Sir William. So there you go. It may affect other people differently. It may not affect you at all. If you're English, you might go there and gloat a little bit. I don't know. But it's certainly an experience that I would recommend if you come to Scotland and you've got the chance to visit Hunterston Castle. And it's worth it just to see that. There are so many other things there that are worth to see, and the tour guides are fantastic. But that alone is worth a visit to Hunterston Castle. Right. I don't know what Jay said. Excalibur's sword. Listen, Arthur's got nothing to do with Sir William Wallace, right? And it was the Excalibur sword as well. Sir William had a big sword because he was a big man, right? Angel Station says it there, you go, damn Sassenachs. Aye. But we shouldn't get confused, because I am apparently a Sassenach myself, because a Sassenach is the slightly derogatory term, not for the English, but for lowland Scots. And I myself am a lowland Scot. I'm not a Highlander. And the Highlanders and the lowlanders don't often see eye to eye in a lot of things, okay? So Sassenach is really I think it's a Gaelic word, I'm not sure, for lowland Scots, of which I am proud to be one. Because, of course, the lowland Scots, we come from the land of Burns, right? Full of poetry, full of beauty, full of care and love. We don't hack each other to bits like they Highlanders do with their swords and axes and their big maces. Right, okay. Caroline Tyler, you're almost banned from the channel for that comment there. Wallace was asking for it. He wasn't feared. Come on, come ahead. Right, no, almost got yourself banned there. Right. Okay. Something Different asks, who cut it down? Was a wee dafty with a chainsaw? There's an interesting story about that too. But what I'll do is, instead of me telling you here, what I'll do is I'll direct you to the Hunter Clan YouTube channel, of which I don't have the link yet because they haven't sent it through to me. But the Hunter Clan do have their own YouTube channel with videos there about the history of the Hunter Clan and Hunterston Castle and various other things. And you will probably get more information there. If I get the link to the YouTube channel sent through to me, what I'll do is, when this live stream turns itself into a video, which it does after it's not live anymore, and you can all leave your comments. Not many people comment on the video after, in the live stream after, once it's a video, but I will put the comment and put the link to the Hunter Clan's YouTube channel in the comments, and I'll pin it so that it's at the top. So if anyone wants more information, wants more videos that go in a bit more depth about Hunterston Castle and Clan Hunter, that's where you'll get it, okay? So, Madam Pauline, if you're still watching, and Graham, if you're still watching, if you can send me through the link to the YouTube channel, and I'll stick it up in not in this chat here, but I'll stick it into the comments when this turns into a video, and you should get a few people coming along to watch some of your videos. Right. Okay. Where are we? I don't know where we are. This chat's sticking again, right? Oh, and it's just shot down to the bottom like that. Right, Simply Scotland Photography asks, did you get the bottle for the castle as a gift, and will you be dressing up for the Halloween show? I did. This was presented to me. Madam Pauline and Graham presented this to me yesterday, and they also gave my lovely wife, the wee, and they gave her a gift too, and they presented this to me yesterday after they had given us the tour of the castle. And thanks very much, Madam Pauline and Graham, for that fantastic bottle of Robert Burns single malt whiskey. And I won't be dressing up for the Halloween show, right? And it's not a Halloween show. It's not going to be live. It's going to be a video that's posted on Halloween of a recitation of Tam O'Shanter. Now, I wouldn't be dressed up in Halloween garb, and there wouldn't be any Halloween ornaments around, because I would hope that people would like to watch the video and listen to the podcast when it's not Halloween, right? So I'm not going to stick a pumpkin there, because in that case it would then, we can only really watch that at Halloween. While I'm on the point of different ornaments and things, I would like to point out this wee thing here. This is a tower, right? And this was presented to me by Madam Pauline's partner Graham today when I was at Hunterston Castle. He's an engineer, or just retired engineer, and I believe he built this himself. And it's a little tower there with a candle in it. And he said you could maybe stick that on your table when you're doing your spooky stories and your Tam O'Shanter. And I probably will. So you'll see that again a bit closer on the table beside me when I do the Tam O'Shanter, which is happening. What's this, in 8 or 9 days, about 9 days time. So I better get my bahookie in action and get to it, because I've still to record the thing and get everything still finalised. As far as the spooky stories go, as you asked earlier on, Jay, I haven't filmed anything yet, but I have planned all the things. I've got some fantastic stuff. There's a wee hint of one here, I'll tell you. It's something called the Dog Suicide Bridge. This is a bridge. I'm giving it away now. This is a bridge where, for some unfathomable reason, and no one could quite understand why. I don't know if I want to put that one up there. Mark just put a link. I'm not going to bring that one up because that's not the Hunters, Clan Hunters link. So I'm not going to push that one up on the screen. That I will with that one there. Here's Clan Hunters YouTube channel. Well done, Mark, finding that. So there you go. I just clicked on that and it came up on my screen. Do I really want that? I don't want that. Aye, Mark has put it up in the channel there. How do I get out of that? Right, Mark has put a link up in the channel, www.youtube.com/@clanhunter1107. That's where to go to see Clan Hunter's YouTube channel and look at videos in more depth than I have given you here. Gerard McGlinchey says, will you send me one of them bottles? I certainly will not, Gerard, because this is the only one I have, and I will only be taking an occasional snifter from it on a special occasion. It's not a particularly special occasion tonight, it's just a live stream, but it is the first live stream since I was presented this bottle, and that's why I'm having one. And I'll probably have one on the Halloween reading of Tam O'Shanter, but other than that, it'll be for special occasions only, because it's too nice to drink as just a normal drink, a normal wee whiskey you'd have of an evening, right? Having said that, I could tan that entire bottle in one go. It's so nice. Right, Peter Mulder says 5 minutes left, but that was about 4 minutes ago. I've only got a minute left. Where has the time gone? I can't believe it. Right, Pauline Hunterston, Madam Pauline says, it was a real pleasure to have you and the Wee. Thanks very much. We loved it. The Wee had a fantastic time. She was cold up in the battlements, as she always is. She's cold everywhere she goes. Where is that wee picture there? You can't actually see how freezing she is, but she's her teeth are chattering, but she's holding it together well. And she's got, underneath that overcoat, she's got an undercoat, and I think she's got about 3 jumpers on. She's always cold. She goes to bed with a heated blanket and a water bottle every night, which is far too warm for me. I like the windows open and I like just a wee thin blanket. However, we manage somehow. Right, 30 seconds to go. So I know that there wasn't much agenda going on there, and I know that there wasn't a lot of drone stuff, but I hope you enjoyed the chat tonight. If you did, don't forget to give us a wee thumbs up if you feel inclined. And watch out for the video that I will be producing this week if I get to it. Thanks a lot for tuning in. Thanks for the super chats, everyone. It will help me with my fuel. It always does. Thanks to everyone who did give me a thumbs up. And thanks to everyone who come into the chat anyway. I'll see you next Sunday. Cheerio with the now.